All right, so, whoa. All right, so you can see right here I'm going to be talking with you guys about rigs today and how it affects your perception of the VR experience, the 360 experience. So you can see this is with that Kodak camera I was just showing you, and we have it attached to a dog right there. We have it on a drone, and we have it attached to a car. Okay, let's see if this clicker works. There we go. So one of the big things that I picked up on very early on doing 360 experiments daily is that no matter where you put the camera, it's going to have a major effect on you. So for instance, one of my first clients was dog and cat adoption centers. And that's something where you don't want to film it, from a high position. You want to get low on the ground, sort of like this camera, getting a low angle. And then when you're watching in a VR headset, those little cute puppies look like giant dinosaurs, which is pretty cool. And also, one of the big factors of the Kodak camera, which I'll go back to, is that if you knock it against something, you have those protective lenses. So we had a number of animals come right up to the camera lens and sniff it and knock it over. I've had many animals try and pee on my tripods. So sadly, this camera recently, the SpheriCam 2 is supposed to come out at the end of summer. They recently delayed it. So I'm going to skip over that slide a little bit. But the whole idea is that you want to be at the point of view, the perspective of your subject. In this case, adorable puppies. And you can see they're quite cute right there. But you don't want to shoot them like that because it takes you out of that experience in some ways. So, that it's a cute shot, but you'd rather be in the pen. You'd rather be in the middle of that action. And you can sort of see how much, the difference between those is pretty significant. That's how you normally would see it. This is your life as a corgi. And this is actually at an event on Long Beach called SoCal Corgi Nation, where they got 100 corgis together. Try working with 100 actors. Working with 100 dogs is way more work. So we actually drew a line in the sand, literally a circle around our camera rigs to keep the dogs out of it. But of course, this one dog had to break that rule, went up to the camera, left a nice little wet mark with his nose. But that is the clip that ended up going viral. So, it's sort of with 360, you embrace those spontaneous accidents, and you just say, that's the real gold mine. You can see there's a cat shot. This is Cat Town Cafe for all you folks who came out from the East Bay, maybe aware of this spot. And really what this experiment taught me is how much the location really informs the viewer about what's going on. With Cat Town, their whole thing was it was a group of people who used to work at an SPCA, and when people would go in to see these cats, they would be behind cages. It would be like seeing the cat on their worst day. So they said, we're going to make a little town that looks like a miniature Oakland, and we're going to put the cats in there and get volunteers. And that way, when you're going there to adopt a cat, you're seeing them on the best day possible. And so, especially with 360, the environment really informed our project, and you were able to see these cats virtually transform before your eyes. We also did an experiment with Kodak where they loaned us this dog harness, and we were actually able to put the camera on the dog and experience a walk with them. And it really gave you a sense of empathy to be with this dog. Of course, the dog ended up going pee while we were walking him. It was, cute. But that kind of gives you an idea of what it looks like to go on a walk. And you can see the Kodak Pix Pro. They were clever enough to put it on the mount there. So you can mount these cameras to anything. It's sort of one of the benefits of working with a smaller camera versus a 7 GoPro rig, which I love working with that too. I use it all the time. But it's harder to get through an airport and attach to your window, or to put it on a car, or to put it on a skateboard, an electric skateboard at that. But really what all of these things do is they kind of give you a different perspective. With a car mount, you feel like you are in the body of this car. You feel the speed that much more. If you were to mount it lower to the car, lower to the ground where the tires are moving, you'd feel that speed even more significantly. So it's all about location. It really comes back down to the fundamentals of directing and standard video, or flatties as they're called now. So yeah, you can see one of my favorite rigs is this one, which is made by Sale Video. And this allows you to attach your camera in a third-person perspective. Many people call it the video game perspective, but it's third person. And essentially, this gives you a great sense of POV with action and movement, and it's one of my favorites. You can see you can put them on motorcycles, and you really get the experience of riding on the back of this motorcycle with the person. It's sort of similar to going on a dog walk, but a little bit faster. And then finally you have POV. POV is the most challenging camera shot in 360 right now. And you can see it's because you have to put lots of cameras around this rig in order to get enough information to fit your head in there. So you can see they're mixing some GoPros in there. They have some special lenses that are bigger fisheye. But ultimately, that is a lot of post-production work. And I kind of feel like, and this is just my own opinion, that POV is a little bit of a fad right now in 360 and VR. And really, you can kind of get similar effects by just going the third-person route. But, you know, it's all about what you're trying to do. If your thing is all about someone doing karate and doing things with their hands and their body, POV would be the way to go. If it's just someone sitting in a room being spoken to or having dialogue, maybe POV, you know, it's pretty extensive post-production workflow right now. Hopefully that will go down in time. But it often requires a lot more cameras, which means a lot more post time. And really, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of POV, but when it works, it definitely works. And a lot of people are sort of using the cameras in different ways in order to get a monitor feature. So for instance, you can see the Kodak camera right there is what they're really shooting on, but they're using the Samsung camera and the Gear VR so they can actually see their shot in advance. Sort of like storyboarding, except you don't need to do all that storyboarding. You just set up the camera and look and be able to see. One of the real benefits of the Samsung camera. Downside is you need to have the Samsung phone. If you're an iPhone guy like myself, there's some conflicts there. But overall, it's interesting to see how people are rigging these together to come up with their own little monitors so they can actually see real time. One of the experiments we did was with a drone right here. You can see we have 6 GoPros on the bottom, and we put one on the top, and that allows us to stitch out the drone. This is also a tricky shot. The stills came out great from it. You can see this band we were working with, Snow Angels. Great shot. This is the Rose Garden in Berkeley. Great overhead shots. But when we put it together, it was a little bit too shaky. It didn't really work with that rig. We kind of DIY'd it and didn't really come together all that successful. There are a lot of other rigs out there that allow you to attach it, but the challenge is with one like this, you aren't able to stitch out the drone. You need to put a separate camera on top. Otherwise, you're just going to be floating there and you're going to look up eventually and be like, why is this drone following me? Or you see all the shots all the time where it's somebody in a helicopter and there's this guy conspicuously holding his hands out, and obviously he's holding the camera. So there are definitely ways to get around this where you can feel like you are getting an eagle's point of view and just a bird in the sky, but it takes a lot more work. And it's definitely not going to be an attachment like that unless you have something on top. Something like this with the Kodaks, which this actually came out about a week ago, and I bought it up right away. I was like, I need to test this thing out. And it works pretty good. It definitely works better than that 7 GoPro solution. But there's still some issues there with stabilization because you no longer have a gimbal being a piece that helps you stabilize. If I'm going too quick or terminology is going over people's heads, feel free to raise your hands and I can answer things too. I'm from New England, so I speak really fast. Sort of the New Yorker in me. Right here you can see people attaching it on dollies. And what's great about this is you can be able to have someone control it, and if you want the camera to go forward and then stop at a certain point, you can do that. But unless you have a monitor on there, how are you really going to know where it's going and where to stop it? Because you're kind of shooting in the blind there. So that's where things like having that Samsung monitor on top of something like that could really help you out. And you can see someone just kind of ghetto rig this together with, that looks like a little RV car. There are people that sell things like that up to $15,000. So I'm more likely to go the RV car route at this point. But, it's interesting. You can see people using audio attachments here, trying to capture that 360 audio. And usually if you're trying to get something, lights, audio, you can't have it in the shot because you're gonna, it's gonna be a dead giveaway. You can always mask that out in post-production, but that's a bit more work. What a lot of people are doing is putting it with the tripod or underneath, and then you can mask out that portion later. Really, the technology is moving so fast at this point. It's crazy to think that this is how a lot of people first saw VR a little while ago. How many people have tried out a cardboard? Yeah, it's probably one of the first VR experiences. And now this is pretty much extinct because you have things like this coming out. And this thing right here gives you that same experience. Yeah. Who wants a VR device? All right, I saw your hand first. So anyway, that was my giveaway. Sorry, guys. I don't have more. But you can see here someone got really advanced the lighting there. And all they have to do in post is just take a separate shot of what's underneath there, where that tripod is, and patch that in. And all of a sudden, they can light the room beautifully. Of course, those lights are probably really expensive. I know, at this point, you're like, there's so many cameras, like, I can't keep up with you, Kevin. But really, it's one of those things where there's always something new coming online. There's always a new camera coming out every week, every month, pretty much. And you gotta stay on top of it. The way I did it, I follow what I call the trade papers now, which is a Facebook group called 360 Video Professionals. I suggest you all get on your Facebook and add that group. And I put things on there. You got a question back there, sir? I'll take it.
Please explain that photo where you went.
Oh, so this is a guy just testing out a bunch of different action cameras back when those were popular. You can see he's crazy, this guy. It's so funny. But I strongly suggest you follow that trade paper, the Facebook group, because people are constantly posting their new inventions on there. And for me, it feels like almost like the early days of computers, where people are really getting inventive with it. And it's like all the old tricks that you would use for digital filmmaking are thrown out the window. You can't have a sound guy. You can't bounce your light with a giant whiteboard. All those things are thrown out the window, and you're having to come up with a whole bunch of new magic tricks. And for me, that makes it really exciting. I feel like I'm a novice again. But I understand it can be overwhelming, so I suggest going on that group, and you can really keep up with the information daily on there. And like, for instance, I posted things. I saw there were so many cameras out there. I'm like looking at all these different frame rates. I made like a spreadsheet. I'm trying to like balance out, do I want 3D in my camera? Do I care about that? And I just put it out there for the public saying, hey, can you guys help me fill this in? And it came together really nicely, and you can actually go on there and be able to see your price range, what type of camera you can get, what you're really trying to get out of the camera. You're trying to shoot night vision, underwater, 3D. You have all those things in check boxes now, and it's made it a lot easier for me with my decision making, at least for projects.
That's on the group?
Yep, it's in an old post. You're going to have to dig in there.
Any roundabout dates?
I don't know. If you email me, I can send it to you. That's another way.
What's the name of the group again?
360 Video Professionals. Yeah. There are a lot of VR groups on Facebook right now, so I can understand it's hard to keep up. But anyway, if you guys are interested to see some cute puppies and cats, you can check out my website there. And I'm constantly updating my YouTube page daily with different experiments that I'm doing. See another question in the back there?
I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's fine.
You mentioned underwater.
Oh, yeah, that's the one thing I forgot.
Is there anyone focusing specifically on the 360 underwater? I'm specifically thinking, I've personally done some work attaching cameras to the fins of sharks.
Yeah.
I would love to be able to do that with 360.
I would suggest the Kodak camera because it's also very lightweight. That's another thing. You can't really put a 7 GoPro rig on a dog's back or a shark because you can really harm the animal. So using a smaller rig, yeah, with a shark, I imagine so. But yeah, I was thinking that same exact thought, or attaching it to a turtle. I've seen things like that. I don't know anyone specializing in it. It should be you. You can do it because the market is this early now, or anyone can just jump in, and you can get a Kodak for, as I said, about $800, and the waterproof is $150. Yeah, call me. I'll let you borrow mine. You can test it out. I've only gone paddleboarding on it and doing yoga. It's not as much fun as swimming with sharks, I can imagine. Any other questions? I feel like that 5-minute buzzer went off, but I kind of heard it. Yeah, 5 minutes still. Please ask me questions. I'm all out of material.
So the Kodak camera you're saying is probably the best at that level on the
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, under 1,000. Initially, I started with the Thetas. That's how I taught myself. I broke so many Thetas, just like dropping them on the ground, knocking them off of things. And Theta's been really nice. Rico does repairs. You just ship it in and say, hey, I think I'm still under warranty. I think you guys have a warranty for this, right? And Kodak has been also very nice with that because I use these things all the time. So I burn out the cameras like no one else, leaving it in the sun, doing time lapse of anything. And so I feel like the wear and tear on there definitely.
Questions.
Yeah.
We just need the mic because live stream, they can't hear you. So
Yeah, I should have repeated the question. Sorry,
Question?
people on live stream right now.
How are you monetizing all this? I mean, how are you monetizing this? I mean, how are you? We're still trying to figure out, what you bill.
Totally,
you know?
yeah. So I do work for clients, which I bill completely separately from my daily things. The daily things are just my tests and my experiments. I need to post it on YouTube anyway to see how it looks in the 360. Sort of like baking a cake in that way. You can't see what it tastes like until it comes out of the oven. And so, I figure I'm putting it out there online. I might as well make it public and let people see. And YouTube allows you to monetize with ads, although kind of, not really at the rate that they should be in many ways. Facebook has not started monetizing 360, but they are hiring outside companies that are shooting 360 projects, which I think is great. Facebook, call me up. Or just make it publicly available, just put ads on there, and then I think more people would start putting on their 360 videos on Facebook. It's a really good time to do that. There have been other companies in Europe and China that have approached me and saying, hey, we want to purchase your videos because we've seen you have hundreds and you have cute dogs, and we like that. So I mean, it all comes down to where you can do that, and that's really the challenge is distribution. How are audiences viewing these things? Are they viewing them on their headsets? Are they viewing it on a laptop? I went to the Academy of Arts VR Film Festival last week, and they had someone in a headset doing it, but it was projected, so everyone in the theater could experience it. I think that's a great idea that Sundance and a lot of other festivals should jump into, because right now it's like a 4-hour line for a 4-minute movie, and who really wants to wait in the snow?
How did they project it?
They had just a projector running through the headset. Yeah, and so they had the director come up to be like, the eyes. Yeah.
Okay, and I think we're good. Go ahead. What?
Well, they were looking around in it, but it wasn't fully spherical. Like they didn't have 6 projectors. That was my other idea, which Disney did that in the 50s. So why haven't more companies done that? There are dome companies that have been set up that do that, but I'm getting off track and we might be over time. I don't know.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have to wrap it up, but thank you so much, Kevin.
Thank you guys.